Is up, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Blue. I'm your host, Nick. You are listening to episode 6, where today we're going to recap the Dodgers and Phillies series that just ended. The Dodgers lost 2 out of 3. They lost the first game, won the second game, lost the third game. So, lose the series to the Phillies in Philadelphia. We're going to get into all of that. Before we do that, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Follow us on YouTube and subscribe at Talking Blue Pod. Subscribe so you can get the notifications when the new videos drop. You can follow us on social media at Talking Blue Pod. You can follow us there and look at the new reels that we've been making of the pod. I've been posting on Twitter, on my personal Twitter or my personal X, at Talking Blue Nick. You can follow me there. Get a lot of Dodgers content that I've been posting and sending out. So, let's go ahead and get into the first game that was played on Friday night. Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Jesus Luzardo. Yamamoto making his third start. We know that he's been off to a great start in the season. I'm his biggest fan, as you know. So let's get into that. There was not much to talk about in this game, unfortunately, other than Yamamoto. The Dodgers were shut down by Jesus Luzardo for the majority of the game. But for those of you that did not watch or did not see, in the bottom of the first, Yamamoto had a Trey Turner on base who doubled. Bryce Harper at the plate. Trey Turner attempted to steal third, one of those weird steals where he steals before Yamamoto delivers the ball. He attempts to step off and throw the ball to third base where he threw the ball away. So Trey Turner scored on his own throwing error. So they go up 1-0. And the Dodgers were held scoreless all the way until the 7th inning. All the way until the 9th inning. The Phillies, in the 7th inning, added to their 1-0 lead. At this point, Kirby Yates comes in. Yamamoto has gotten through 6 innings at this point, just allowing the run on his throwing error. Like I said, Phillies up 1-0. Kirby Yates into the game, walks Max Kepler. Nick Castellanos doubles. He was able to get Realmuto to strike out, but a Bryson Stott single makes it 2-0 Phillies. Then Brandon Marsh, an RBI ground out, makes it 3-0 Phillies. Luis Garcia came in to replace Kirby Yates, was able to get out of the inning. So the Dodgers are down 3-0 through 8 innings. We will go to the 9th inning. In the 8th inning, the Dodgers had a bit of a rally going. Miguel Rojas singled. And then after an Andy Pages strikeout, Ohtani singled. So we have 2 runners on base. Miguel Rojas on third, Ohtani on first. Mookie Betts at the plate with 2 outs in the 8th inning, representing the tying run. We chronicled in the previous podcast how clutch Mookie has been. You may have saw in my Instagram and YouTube shorts how clutch he's been. So he's the right guy to have at the plate. And this was one of the first controversial decisions. Ohtani runs. Now, we don't know. I missed if it was given from the bench or from the third base coach, Dino Evo. Did Ohtani run on his own? I would assume he ran on his own because Ohtani's a great base stealer, so he probably had the green light. He tries to steal against probably the best throwing catcher in the game in JT Realmuto. He gets thrown out. It wasn't even really close, as you saw in the video. If you're Ohtani, you just got to be better there. Mookie is one of the better hitters who's been really clutch this year at the plate. You got to give him a chance to try to put the ball in play, drive in a run. Who knows, maybe even it's a 3-run homer to tie the game. Got to just know that you can't run there. There was another caught stealing that we'll get to, but that was the one that really bugged me. So the Dodgers have the inning wiped, didn't have a chance with Mookie to tie the game or get on the board in that inning. So bad decision by Ohtani to attempt to steal. He was thrown out. So later in the top of the 9th, of course, the Dodgers are the away team. Jordan Romano comes in for the save. Like I said, Dodgers down 3-0. Mookie Betts, who of course was left at the plate when Ohtani got thrown out, he starts the inning off with a walk. Then Tommy Edman comes up, hits his 5th home run of the year. So another home run for Tommy Edman, this one from the left side. So now he has 3 home runs from the left side. He continues to slug and just he's off to a great start. So the Dodgers are now down 1 run, 3-2. After a Teoscar Hernandez strikeout, Will Smith walks. He's pinch ran for by Chris Taylor, and then Max Muncy pinch hits. So he comes up to the plate, pinch hitting for Kike Hernandez. And then the game ends on a strikeout. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. Max Muncy struck out on a fastball up. Chris Taylor attempted to steal second, was thrown out. As you see in the video, it was a close play. That was not egregious to me as the Ohtani steal. Again, it's really a bummer to have your game end on a steal attempt. But if you're the Dodgers, I can see you're trying to get into scoring position to tie the game. So I don't think that's as egregious as the Ohtani one, where the inning is just wiped away from you. Didn't give Mookie a chance to try to put the Dodgers on the board. At least in this situation, they are trying to get into scoring position to tie the game because they're down 1 run. It still stinks to see him get thrown out. It's one of those decisions where if you're going to run, you got to make sure you're safe. But Realmuto had to make a perfect throw, and he did. He's the best in the game when it comes to throwing out runners, pretty much, even at his older age now. And Chris Taylor, it was close. He was originally called safe, as you see in the video, but they overturned it. It was a close play. Again, it sucks to see that, but I don't think it's as egregious. So the Dodgers have had some bad inflicted wounds, some bad defense, which we'll talk about, and we did talk about it in the previous podcast. But in this game, the 2 decisions to steal just really bit them in a game where they were just shut down by Jesus Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo in this game, this is his first year with the Phillies. He's been a really good pitcher throughout his young career, has had some injuries. He was with the Oakland Athletics at the time they were Oakland. Now they're, of course, Sacramento A's. And then he was with the Marlins, got traded over this year. 7 shutout innings, only allowed 2 hits. He just had some very clean innings, 10-pitch, 11-pitch innings. He were just carved through the Dodgers. So like I said, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So he really dominated the Dodgers in this game. He has a really good sweeper that he was using to both hitters, both sides. The fastball was up. He looked really good. He also has a good changeup. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap and you get dominated. Sometimes it happens. Great pitching will beat great hitting most of the time, and even in the Dodgers' good lineup, they were shut down for the most part by Jesus Luzardo. So we're able to rally later in the game, which is a constant that we've seen from the Dodgers throughout the season and throughout their 2 losses. So again, not much to talk about from the offense in this game. Of course, Tommy Edman just continues to slug. He's got an OPS over 1,000. Teoscar Hernandez had 2 hits, and we'll talk about him in the later games. He's really turned it on, and especially in the series. But the Dodgers only had 5 hits in this game. Only had 4 walks. Jesus Luzardo shut them down. Again, it is a frustrating loss because they certainly could have won the game if a little bit of better base running decisions. Like I said, I think Ohtani getting thrown out was the egregious one. I didn't agree with that. You shouldn't really be running there unless it's a situation where you think that the pitcher's just going to give up the steal. You know, sometimes a reliever will just, like you've seen Kenley Jansen do that in the past, well, he just wants you to take second base, just get out of here so I can just focus on the hitter. If it's that situation, that's different, but with JT Realmuto back there, you got to know you're getting that bag. You can't strand Mookie Betts there as the potential tying run. So I wanted to talk about Yamamoto in the game. This was, of course, his 3rd start. He has continued to look really good. I said that I think he will finish in the top 3 in Cy Young. He's continued to deliver on that hopeful prediction. So we'll look at the way he went about it in this game. We have talked about how Yamamoto has continued to slowly increase his splitter usage, where he threw it at about 24% in 2024. It's been up to about 30% now. In this game, though, he threw it 22%, and he had a 43% usage on the four-seamer. The four-seamer looked electric, as you see in the videos. He was getting. Just wanted to check right here. He had 4 whiffs on the four-seamer, 5 on his splitter, had 12 whiffs in the game overall. Let me give Yamamoto's final line because I did not do that. Yamamoto in this game, 6 innings pitched. His first time him pitching into the 6th inning this year. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run. Obviously, it's considered unearned, but it was due to his own throwing error. Did have 3 walks, but 5 strikeouts. So continues to get some pretty good swing and miss in the game. His fastball did tick up a bit. So on the year where Yamamoto has been around 95.9, so basically 96 miles an hour, he was averaging 96 exactly in this game. So there was a lot of 97s and 98s. He's continued to slowly increase the velocity. I thought after seeing him in spring training, he could average around 96. He's basically done that so far in the year. Like I said in his previous start, it did come down a little bit. But again, Yamamoto does not need to be sitting 99 or something like that. Nice 95 to 96, occasional 97, 98 is really good for him. Interesting that he increased the four-seam usage in the game and the splitter came down. The splitter has just been crazy so far. I tweeted out some numbers about his splitter so far this year. And I just wanted to talk about that pitch in particular. So the splitter right now, which is averaging 91.8 miles an hour, by the way, so a low 90 splitter, that he's using 30.4% of the time. Like I said, that is increased. The batting average on that against that pitch right now is 0.87. So hitters are not even hitting 100 on his splitter right now. And it has a slugging percentage of 217. So not much contact, not any slug. It has a 57.1 whiff percentage. So over half the time, it is getting a swing and miss. 57.1 whiff percentage on the splitter. So the splitter has just been elite. It looks to be about the best splitter in the game right now, which is interesting with Roki Sasaki, who many thought would have the best splitter. Of course, it's very early, and we've talked about so much. We've had so much splitter talk. I tweeted out more splitter talk on my X. So that's a jarring number, 87 batting average against, and the expected batting average. For those who might not know expected batting average, sometimes you might see expected batting average, expected slug. That all takes. It takes in the batting exit velocity, the launch angle, things like that, because obviously there is luck involved in baseball. You could barrel up a ball and hit it 112 miles an hour, hit it right at the center fielder, and it's an out. And you're not rewarded for barreling up that ball. So sometimes for pitchers and for hitters, you have expected numbers, and they are really good for pitchers because sometimes a pitcher can get lucky. I know some people like to say it's not fair to consider, someone being lucky, but it's not impossible to think that you could have a pitcher who's giving up a lot of barrels and the ball's being hit right at someone. Of course, it all evens out, but it's good to have expected numbers and to see that there's not a difference of like I said, the batting average is 0.87 and the expected is 145. So either way, if you're looking at the actual batting average or the expected, nobody's hitting the splitter. So the whiff percentage I wouldn't say way down, but it is a lot less on his four-seamer. Last year he had a 17% whiff rate on the four-seamer. Right now it's at 12% this year, which is it makes me curious as to why he threw it 43% in this game. I wonder why he did that. But the four-seamer has a 158 batting average against on the year so far. And it has an expected batting average of 252. So maybe there's a little bit of luck involved on his four-seamer right now. But also interesting enough looking at it, his curveball is being hit he has a batting average of 500 against his curveball. That is interesting. And a 0 batting average against his cutter, which he does not throw very often. And he gets a 41% whiff rate on the cutter. He did increase the cutter usage in this game. It was up to 12%, where on the year, Yamamoto throws the cutter, has been throwing it at 8%. So in this game, he threw it 12% of the time. And like I said, he's gotten some good swing and miss on the cutter, so I wonder if they will look into increasing the cutter usage. He actually uses that against both hitters. He'll use it against lefties as a pitch. He'll throw the cutter into a lefty, and then sometimes he'll throw a cutter against a right-handed hitter. And Yamamoto also last year he started to throw a slider throughout the season, which he didn't start 2024 with a slider, but did use it as the year went on. And he did throw the slider. I know it's really low, but 3% of the time. He did throw that pitch in the postseason. But so far this year, it's only been used 1% of the time. He's only thrown 3 sliders in 2025. So I assume that that is because the splitter has increased. So obviously, naturally, other pitches will be decreased. But Yamamoto continues to look really nasty. The splitter is just getting insane numbers, whiff numbers, swing and miss numbers. So he's continuing to look amazing so far to start the year. The Dodgers ace, like I said. So that's about it from Yamamoto. It was good to see him continue to look really good. And that is going to wrap up Game 1. Talked about Yamamoto. Talked about Jesus Luzardo dominating the Dodgers. Sometimes that will happen. And the questionable base running decisions. Frustrating kind of game, but the Dodgers did eventually battle back. Were not able to pull out the comeback, so they lose 3-2. Well, now we will go to Game 2, which is the one game that the Dodgers did win. This was played on Saturday. Roki Sasaki versus Aaron Nola. Let's get into that game right now. Okay. We'll skip to the bottom of the first inning. Roki Sasaki, of course, you're just looking to see how he looks in this game. We know in his second start against the Tigers, he had no command. He did not look very confident. It just did not look like he was having a fun time. And everyone wanted to see how would he bounce back in this game. And it didn't look too good early on. Kyle Schwarber singles, Trey Turner singles. Kyle Schwarber goes from first to third, so it's first and third, nobody out. Then Trey Turner steals. So second and third, nobody out for Sasaki. So you're just thinking, here we go again. He then proceeds to strike out Bryce Harper on a nasty splitter. And from this point on, he looked really good. Alec Boehm did put the ball in play, so Kyle Schwarber did come in to score. Dodgers get the second out, and then he gets Max Kepler to ground out. So in an inning that could have been disastrous, he limits the damage to 1 run. So the Phillies are up 1-0. In the top of the second, Max Muncy doubled, which was good to see. He struggled early on in the year. We'll talk about him a little bit. Kike Hernandez homers to left field. Got a breaking ball from Aaron Nola and hooked it down the left field line. His third home run of the year. He continues to hit the ball hard. So the Dodgers go up 2-1. We will skip ahead to the 5th inning. Roki Sasaki at this point got through 4 innings. He pitched into the 5th inning. He had looked really good at this point, as you see in the video. We'll talk about him, but gets through 4 innings, pitched into the 5th, but after a JT Realmuto walk, Bryson Stott single, they bring in Anthony Banda. So tried to let him exit the game on a good note, because we know he did not last time. So Anthony Banda gets Brandon Marsh to fly out to center field, so the Dodgers get their first out. Then a crazy play. Kyle Schwarber lines out to right field, where it initially, as you can see in the video, looks like JT Realmuto is going to come in and score easily. Bryson Stott gets doubled up. He got caught in between first and second. Teoscar Hernandez makes a great throw to right field, from right field to first base to double him up. So the Dodgers get out of the inning. It was a timing play where JT Realmuto did not score. So the Dodgers stay up 2-1. So a magic act to get out of the inning without allowing a run to keep the lead. And Roki Sasaki only has 1 earned run. And it was a great play by Teoscar Hernandez, who, like I have talked about before, has looked pretty good in right field. So then, as baseball so often happens, the Phillies were not able to cash in, and in the top of the sixth inning, Michael Conforto homers to right field. His second home run of the year has continued to look good. His OPS is over 1,000. He's slugging, so he hits his second home run. The Dodgers are up now 3-1. And that was mostly it for the game. Alex Vesia came in to the 8th inning. I just wanted to show the video of him. Strikes out Bryson Scott. Strikes out Edmundo Sosa, who has looked good this year. Then he did hit Kyle Schwarber, but proceeded to strike out Trey Turner. So 3 strikeouts in the inning. A good inning for Alex Vesia. A good clean inning. And then, of course, in the bottom of the 9th, Tanner Scott comes in for the 9th inning for the save, who we have talked about before has struggled so far. He got, on the first pitch, Bryce Harper singles on a infield single, a ball hit off the end of the bat. Just an unfortunate hit for the Dodgers. But then on the very next pitch, Alec Bohm grounds into a double play, so he's thrown 2 pitches and now has 2 outs. Then Max Kepler comes up, swings at the first pitch, and lines out to left field. So the Dodgers get the win 3-1. Tanner Scott gets the save and only threw 3 pitches. So the series at this point is even up 1-1. The Dodgers, like I said, win 3-1. Roki Sasaki went 4 innings pitched. Anthony Banda went 1 inning. Ben Gasparius went 2. He continues to look really good. Alex Vesia, like I said, went the 1 inning. Tanner Scott went the 1 inning and gets the save. Roki Sasaki, we will talk about him now. He did not get the win in the game, of course. He still doesn't have his first big league win, but he goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, only had 2 walks in this game, which is a plus, and had 4 strikeouts. So it was a positive step forward for Roki Sasaki. Not an insane start by any means. Like I said, only 4 innings pitched, but you could clearly see that the Dodgers wanted to have Roki end this game on a good note and have a positive start. We saw that it almost got off to a disastrous start in the first inning, allowing the first 2 runners on for second and third, nobody out. But we're going to get into his start really quick. So in the game, he threw 68 pitches. So he didn't go super deep in the game, but he was in the zone way more. We talked about in the last start how Roki Sasaki, I talked about how when Sasaki was getting behind a lot, and anytime he would throw a fastball or a slider, a non-fastball pitch, the Tigers were not swinging at the ball, which is a pretty simple approach. If you're not going to get your fastball in the zone, we're not going to chase the nasty splitter or the good slider. So he has to get his fastball in the zone. So against the Tigers, he had a zone percentage of 52% on the 4-seamer. So Sasaki was only in the zone 52%. In this start against the Phillies, it jumped up to 71%. So a 20% increase, basically, of his fastball being in the zone. That's really good because when your fastball is in the zone, obviously he averages about 97 miles an hour, and he's got the very nasty splitter. You have to be in the zone with your fastball, or else nobody's going to go up there and offer at the splitter. So he was in the zone more often in this game. And what is also interesting is Sasaki increased the splitter usage a lot. So in the last start against the Tigers, I talked about how he threw his slider 23% of the time, and he threw the splitter 23% of the time. So he increased the slider a lot in that outing. In this outing against the Phillies, he threw the splitter 41%, so a big jump, and the slider was only 7% of the time. He only threw 5 sliders in the whole game. He threw way more splitters in the game, and it was really nasty in the game. He had a whiff rate of 50% in this game. So 50% whiff rate on the splitter in this game. That's pretty nasty. He looked a lot better in the game. The fastball was averaging, like I said, was 96.9. In the game against the Tigers, he averaged 96.1. So he was basically averaging 97 in this game, maxed out at 98. So this fastball was a little bit better. The splitter looked really good as well. As you see in all the videos, there was just some nasty splitters. Again, it's just crazy to look at his average spin rate on his splitter and see it averaged 508 revolutions per minute in this game, and it's been 511 on the year, which it's just such a low number, and it's so nuts. And the reason why Sasaki's splitter is so nasty is because the pitch has such a slow spin rate. It makes the pitch, like I said before, it's like a faster knuckleball. That's why when you see Sasaki's splitter, like you saw in the video, the first strikeout he had against Bryce Harper, you might think that's a slider because the splitter cuts. So Roki Sasaki is right-handed, and the splitter was kind of an inside pitch to Bryce Harper, and you might think that's a slider or something. That's what makes his splitter so nasty, is because of the spin, it makes it very unpredictable. Sometimes it cuts, sometimes it has the arm fade, sometimes it drops straight down, and it's such a unique pitch. Right now, it's averaging about 85 miles an hour for the year. It averaged about 86 in this game. But him and Yamamoto have just such good splitters, as well as Kirby Yates, who we've talked about. But it's just so cool how they're so different. Yamamoto throws a much more explosive one. Sasaki's is slower. He throws more like a forkball, like we've talked about before, Kodai Senga of the Mets. Excuse me. So this was a positive start from Roki. Like I said, he only got through 4 innings. I would have liked to see him pitch a little bit deeper, but you could tell what the Dodgers were doing. They wanted him to end on a positive note. So we'll have to wait to see Roki Sasaki get his first big league win. Of course, wins at the end of the day are not, nowadays are not, it's not a big deal to get a lot of wins for your overall record. We know that those aren't necessarily super important stats, but regardless, it's still nice to see Sasaki at some point get his first win, and he is moving in the right direction. Threw more strikes in this game, was in the zone with his fastball more often, and has continued to make small improvements. Still has a lot of walks on the year, of course, but did have less in this game. So, and I just wanted to give some numbers like I did for Yamamoto. So far, the batting average against Roki Sasaki's splitter on the year is a 0 batting average. Nobody has gotten a hit off the splitter, and the expected batting average is .071. So, like we talked about expected numbers, nobody hits it hard. On the year, he has a 50% whiff rate on his splitter, which is very nasty. 50% whiff rate on that splitter. That is nasty. That is very nasty. And we talked about how he had 50% in this game, so he has 50% for the season. So the splitter is a nasty pitch. I would expect Sasaki to continue this approach, where it is heavy fastball, splitter, and less slider. Now, the Tigers, in that game where he increased the slider usage, there were numbers from last year where they were a decent splitter changeup hitting team, so maybe that's what they looked into. Again, you don't want to become too predictable, like I said, where if he's not throwing the fastball for strikes, they're not going to change this, chase the splitter. They're going to take that, and it's a recipe for disaster, like I have said before. But he increased the strike percentage with the fastball, which leads to a better outing, which leads to more whiffs, more swings and misses on the splitter. So at the end of the day, Sasaki needs to be in the zone. He looked much better today, or I should say in this game on Saturday. It's a step in the right direction. We'll see what he looks like in his 4th career start. And hopefully he builds on this. So, well, that will wrap up Sasaki. Now we're going to go to Alex Vesia, who pitched in this game, as you saw in the video, had the 3 strikeouts. Dodger fans have come to know Alex Vesia for a long time now. I just wanted to give some numbers on him so far in this young season. Alex Vesia has pitched to a 2.57 ERA. He has 12 strikeouts in only 7 innings. That's really good. He has a 28% whiff rate on his four-seam fastball, and he has a 41% whiff rate on his slider. So both pitches have been really good. The batting average on the four-seamer is 133. The batting average on the slider is 167. And he has a overall K rate in 2025 of 48%. So he's struck out almost half the batters, while only having a 12% walk rate. And that's about what he's had for his career. So he's continued to look really good. He had a massive year last year, where in 2024 he had an ERA of 1.76, which I believe was the second best ERA in baseball to Kirby Yates. So Alex Vesia is a really interesting pitcher because he does not throw very hard, and his velocity has actually dipped down a tick, where in 2024 he averaged 93.4 miles an hour. So a low to mid-90s fastball. In 2025 so far, he's averaging 92.3. So the four-seam velocity has gone down a little bit, but the K rate is still in the 97th percentile. So he hasn't missed a beat with the strikeouts and the swing and miss numbers. And Alex Vesia, if you did not know, is the best pitcher in baseball when it comes to induced vertical break. So if you do not know what induced vertical break is, it is when you hear players and people talk about four-seam fastballs that have that rise effect in a four-seam fastball that appears to rise. It has that jump, as they say. Alex Vesia has the best in baseball, basically. Induced vertical break, it refers to the amount a pitched ball deviates vertically from its expected trajectory due to spin imparted on it by the pitch measured in inches. I know that's really might sound confusing. That's what I'm reading from my computer to kind of explain induced vertical break. It is measured in inches. So Alex Vesia in 2025 has a average induced vertical break of 21.8. He has the number one rated four-seam fastball in the game. And it's really cool, like I said, because he's only averaging about 92 miles an hour. And if you look at a lot of the guys who are in the top percentile of induced vertical break, and a lot of them are not guys who throw very hard. So Alex Vesia, like I said, is number one, averaging 92. Jeremiah Estrada of the Padres is averaging 97. He's number two. But after that, Colin Poche of the Nationals, he's third. He's only averaging 91. Simon Woods Richardson of the Twins, he's fourth, averaging 91. Nick Pivetta of the Padres is fifth, averaging 92. Yuki Matsui of the Padres, averaging 91. Tristan McKenzie, 93. Get all the way to 11, which has Landon Knack of the Dodgers. And Ben Kasparius is also on this list. He is 53rd. He has an average break of 18.7. So it's a really interesting number because it just shows that you don't have to necessarily throw 100 miles an hour to have a really good fastball. And it's a really good number to look at. It's a good number for four-seam fastballs. It just means that your fastball has a really good, it stays on plane well, and it's a good pitch to throw up in the zone. It's hard for hitters to get on top of, and it means that the ball is spinning really well, and it has that, like I said, vertical movement that makes it almost like an invisible fastball. So it almost makes your fastball seem faster than it actually is. So Alex Vesia, who's averaging about 92, you see him sometimes hit 91. I believe in Game 3, we'll get to where he gave up a home run, he only threw like 89 miles an hour. And it probably makes his fastball look about 94, 95. So it has that jump, that rise, that it appears to rise, which of course it does not actually rise because of gravity. But that is really cool to look at, that he has the number one four-seam fastball in the game if you look at induced vertical break, which is a really cool number to look at. Alex Vesia, who gets a ton of swings and misses. As you see in the video, he's always very animated. He's one of the best guys to have out there in a big spot. He wants to be out there. And he's just continued throughout his entire career to look really good and be a really good reliever. The only year that he really struggled was 2023, where he had an ERA over 4. But other than that, his first year, 2021, he had a 2.25 ERA. 2022, a 2.15. 2024, a 1.76. So far, a 1.50. He is one of the best relief pitchers in the game. One of the more underrated, one of the better left-handed relievers. And I just wanted to give him some run, talk about what makes him good. Like I said, the induced vertical break on his fastball. And it's just really cool, something that's really cool to look at, because you might see a guy throwing 91, 92, 93 and think, how is he getting all the swing and miss? And that's why the induced vertical break, when your ball has that much vertical movement and it appears to have that rise and you throw it up in the zone like that, it's a really good pitch to have. And his breaks on average more than anyone in baseball. Like I said, normally when you get to about 20 inches, that is really nasty and really elite. And his is over 20 at 21.8. So almost 22 inches of vertical break. So that's really cool to see from Alex Vesia. And then I just wanted to highlight Max Muncy really quick on the year, in this game, I should say. He had, sorry, I'm just losing the number right here. Max Muncy in this game had 3 hits, which is really good to see. He has struggled a little bit in this year so far. That is Max Muncy. We haven't talked about him a lot on the pod so far. Max Muncy in 2025, he is hitting 176 with a 243 on base and a 508 OPS. So that's really really low for Max Muncy, especially the on base, because he's a guy who walks a lot. He's really struggled. They've talked about a lot how he has gone back and forth between the new bats, the new torpedo bats. He's gone back and forth between his original bat and that bat. Like I said, he struck out in the first game when he pinch hit, but then bounced back with the 3 hits. That's really good to see. He's a really important guy for the Dodgers, because on most teams he would be a cleanup hitter, and so far in this slow start, he hits a little lower in the lineup, but he is a guy that really, when he's right, should be hitting around the 5th spot. And he's a guy who sees so many pitches and walks a lot, and he has definitely got off to a slow start, but I always believe in Max Muncy. He has a great process at the plate because he's a pitcher that doesn't chase a lot. So good to see him get 3 hits in this game. Hopefully that gets Max Muncy going in the later series. So that is about it for Game 2. We'll go ahead and get started with Game 3. Like I said, Dodgers lose Game 1, win Game 2. They now have 1 loss on the year. Going into Sunday afternoon, Tyler Glasnow making his 2nd start of the year, taking on Christopher Sanchez, left-hander from the Phillies, really good pitcher. And if you saw this game, it was a wild game. And of course, from the beginning, it was unfortunately a very wild, wet, crazy start for Tyler Glasnow. So we'll go ahead and get into that game. Teoscar Hernandez right away started the game off in the first inning with a 2-run home run, followed up, Tommy Edman singled right before that. Teoscar Hernandez, 2-run homer to right field, his 3rd home run of the year. He starts to get going, as he's been a little up and down so far in the year. Tyler Glasnow had a clean first inning, but after that, it was anything but clean. In the 2nd inning, he came back and had another clean inning, didn't allow a run, so he's through 2 innings, has not allowed a run so far. He also has 2 strikeouts, so he's looking really good, as you saw in the video. Nasty curveball. Tyler Glasnow looking strong. But in the 3rd inning is where it all fell apart. Of course, there was a lot of rain. You could tell Tyler Glasnow was slipping on the mound. He looked uncomfortable in his cleats. He kept trying to wipe him off. He starts standing off, walks Rafael Marchand, then another walk to Kyle Schwarber. Trey Turner walks, so he loads the bases, walks the bases loaded. Bryce Harper then singles. Now the Phillies are down 2-1. Then a wild pitch from Tyler Glasnow, a curveball that got away from him. Tie game. Then he walks Alex Vesia for his 5th walk in the game. Brings in another, brings in another run. It is 2-2. It did not bring up a run. I am reading my notes wrong. 2-2. He comes out of the game. Alex Vesia comes into the game like I talked about. First pitch to Nick Castellanos, grand slam. The ball was launched, as you see in the video. So the Dodgers are now down 6-2. So this game looks like it's going to be over pretty quickly. But if you have watched the Dodgers early in this year, you know that they have not gone away quietly in these games. So right away in the 4th inning, Teoscar Hernandez with another home run. He starts off the 4th inning with a home run to right field, his 2nd opposite field home run of the game, his 4th home run of the year. Immediately it makes it a 6-3 game. The Dodgers would not go on to score in the 4th inning. In the 5th inning, the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez would double into left field to make it a 6-4 game. Tommy Edman scored. So that made it 6-4 Phillies. So the Dodgers are clawing back into the game. Nothing through the 6th inning. We go ahead to the 7th inning. This is where the Dodgers put a lot of runs on the board. Andy Pages got on a single. Shohei Ohtani walked, so it's 1st and 2nd. Nobody out. Mookie Betts doubles into left field to make it a 1-run game. Andy Pages came in to score. Tommy Edman flies out to center, and Ohtani wasn't able to score on this play. But then Teoscar Hernandez, once again, he comes up and it hits a sac fly to right field to tie the game. So the Dodgers are now back we are now tied 6-6, where they were originally down 6-2. Then Will Smith doubles to right field, nearly hit it out. It was a bomb to right field, hit it off the wall. Dodgers go up 7-6. So in the game where they previously were down 6-2, they now lead 7-6. So once again, we saw in the Braves series, the Dodgers were down 5-0, came back and won that game. The Dodgers take the lead in this game. But then, 7th inning, Blake Treinen comes in, a leadoff double to center field, which was a weird route by Andy Pages. We'll talk about him a little bit. We talked about how Andy Pages has struggled a little bit in center field so far. As you can see, took kind of a weird route, completely missed the ball. A walk to Max Kepler. Nick Castellanos flew out, but then a Bryson Stott single brought in Bryce Harper, which made it 7-7. And then Edmundo Sosa grounded out. It was a force out. The Dodgers tried to turn a double play. He was able to beat out the throw. So the run came in, makes it 8-7 Phillies. So the Phillies go back on top. Dodgers were able to get out of the inning. In the 8th inning, they did not score, so they're still down 1 run. To the 9th inning, where the Dodgers went down in order, went down quietly. As you can see, Tommy Edman was the last out. Jose Alvarado gets the save for the Phillies. So the Dodgers drop the final game. They drop the rubber match and lose the series 2-1. They made some mistakes in this game. I just wanted to note Tyler Glasnow 2 innings, Alex Vesia 1 inning, Jack Dreyer 2.1, Kirby Yates for two of an inning, Treinen 1 inning, Luis Garcia 1 inning. So the bullpen was able to do its best, considering they had to cover 7 innings after Glasnow went down, 7 or 8. Glasnow, we're going to get into him really quickly. Not going to talk too much about Tyler Glasnow because he definitely struggled in this game. Didn't look great, of course. I feel like a lot of it was due to the conditions. He was struggling with his footing, with the wet mound and the rain. I don't want to give him an excuse because that's part of the game. Sometimes you're gonna have to pitch outside. You're not always gonna be in sunny California. You're gonna have to pitch on the East Coast sometimes, or places where it's gonna rain. It's a part of the game. So he shouldn't necessarily get a pass for, hey, it's rainy out today, so I can just, mail it in. He should really battle through that. But he's a big guy. It's hard when he has no command of his lower half. It led to a lot of walks. So he threw 60 pitches in the game, but he threw a lot of balls. He just wanted to go to only had 3 whiffs in the game. The fastball velo was down a little bit. Again, I don't think there was anything wrong with Glasnow physically, and I don't think this was necessarily a start where of course it was a start where he didn't have it, but I really think a lot of it was just due to the uncomfortable weather. It's unfortunate. So I don't think it's a great example of how Glasnow will pitch this year. I think he'll bounce back in his next start. It just was a disastrous start where he lost his command. Like I said, the 5 walks, had no command of the fastball. He did look good the first 2 innings, but then it just all fell apart. So it's an unfortunate start from Glasnow after seeing the really good first start of the year. But that's pretty much all I'll talk about with Glasnow. I think he'll bounce back in the next start and look a lot better. It was just an unfortunate event. So I just wanted to mention Teoscar Hernandez, who, like I said, he in this game, obviously he had 3 hits. He had the 2 home runs. He now boosts his OPS on the year up to 945. 2 home runs off a lefty. We've talked about before how Teoscar crushes lefties. They have so many guys who just crush lefties like Tommy Edman. So he continues to hit really good this year. Had gotten off to somewhat of a rocky back and forth start. Now he has his OPS, like I said, up to 945. He has the 4 home runs. He was clutch in this game. Had a big double, like you saw in the video, sac fly. Like I said, had the great throw in the previous game. So just wanted to shine some light on Teoscar Hernandez, where right now with Freddie Freeman out, he, like I've talked about before, gets bumped up in the lineup. And he's been really good, and it's good to see Teoscar because last year he obviously had the monster year and got the big contract, so good for Teoscar Hernandez. And lastly, for the games in this series and all that, I'm going to quickly talk about Andy Pages. I've seen a lot of people talking about Pages on X. He has definitely not looked comfortable in center field. I've talked about before how he takes some shaky routes out there. I think he can be a pretty good center fielder. I don't think he's going to be a Gold Glover or anything like that, but he's an athletic guy with a good arm who I think can get better out there. But he has taken some shaky routes. Sometimes he looks kind of lost out there. His base running does not seem great. He seems to just be a young guy who is not scared to run or anything like that. So sometimes Teoscar gets thrown out, makes poor decisions, but he's a young guy. I don't think anybody should give up on him or anything like that, and I don't think anybody is, but he's not looked good in center field for sure, and I think he needs to right now be platooned because he's always hit lefties way better throughout his young career. He's basically been a big leaguer for 1 year. Right now, he's not looking good at the plate. He's hitting 118 with a 268 on base, a 147 slug, so just no extra base hits, and a 415 OPS. He has a K rate so far this year of 35%, where last year it was 24%. It is 35% this year. That's a high K rate. Now his walk percentage is up a lot this year, where again it's really early on, but he had a walk percentage of 6.5 last year. It's up to 13.5 this year, so it's more than doubled, which is really good that he's at least walking. But last year he had a 40% hard hit rate. Right now it's 29%. He had a barrel rate of 10% last year. I don't know if this is an error on Baseball Savant or it just shows how bad he's been, but it has a 0% barrel rate, so I guess has barreled up no balls, which I don't understand how he would have a 29% hard hit rate. I think that's because barrels are a match of a hard. It's a certain number for a hard hit ball plus a certain launch angle, I believe. That's what is considered a barrel. So maybe that's why that is at 0. But yeah, it says he has no barrels on the year so far. So by Baseball Savant's definition, he has not barreled up a ball this year. So he hasn't even hit a ball. He's just not hitting the ball hard at all. Struggling in center field. The Dodgers got to find a platoon for him. Really, James Outman falling off the face of the earth last year is what's really hurting them because he actually plays good defense in center field. So we'll see what the Dodgers do with Andy Pages. Do they try to get Tommy Edman out there and maybe have someone else, Miguel Rojas or something, play second base? Do we see Hyesung Kim come up from the minor leagues to play center field? He's played some center field in the minor leagues. He was obviously a second baseman a lot throughout his career. He's looked good with the bat down in the minor leagues so far, made some adjustments. So do they call him up? So I believe in Andy Pages a lot. I think he's going to be a really good player throughout his career. But they need to find him less at-bats against righties, more at-bats against lefties. And he's so far has kind of been an issue in center field. I don't know how updated the Baseball Savant numbers are for defense, but right now it says he's in the 71 percentile in outs above average so far this year. So if that is for this year, then maybe he's looked better than we all think, but his routes can look kind of bad sometimes. And he sometimes just gets lost on the bases where he's doesn't seem to be paying attention or just overly aggressive. Again, he's a super young guy. He's only 24 years old. He's going to be a really good player. I believe in him. He's just kind of in an unfortunate situation right now where they need him to play center field, and they don't really have a platoon for him. And he's always hit better against lefties. So we'll see what the Dodgers do there. If they believe in Pages, which I do, then you just you keep him out there and let him try to hit his way out of it. We will see. It's still very early. Again, Pages could have a hot week next week in Washington, and then against the Cubs next weekend, and then we could all forget about this. So it's super early. I just think some people on Twitter need to relax a little bit, saying he needs to get sent down already. I mean, the season started earlier this year. It was the earliest start ever on opening day. So we're literally sitting here Sunday, second week into the year. It's April 6th, and some people want Andy Pages sent down. He has not looked good at all. He's looked horrible so far, so there's no question about that. But some people need to just relax a little bit. It's really early. Give Andy Pages some time. He's only been a big leaguer for a little bit less than a year. He got called up at the middle of last April, so he will figure it out and be better. In his rookie year last year, he was able to put up a 712 OPS, which is better than league average. He just struggles with the fastball up sometimes, so he's got to make some swing adjustments, and he definitely has to get better with his defense in center field. He's too young of a guy to be that bad. Now, again, the eye test, he doesn't look great. If these are like updated numbers on his defensive metrics, they're saying he's not too bad, but if I'm being honest, and I'm usually a guy who goes by the numbers and what the numbers are telling me on the screen, he hasn't looked great. So that's pretty much all the conversation for the 3 games that happened. There was some frustrating games, all winnable games. The Dodgers could be 11-0 at this point very easily, but they are 9-2 on the year. The offense has looked great. The pitching still looks great. The bullpen so far is one of the best bullpens in the game, where they have the most strikeouts in the game. They have been used a lot, so the Dodgers do have to be careful there with limiting the bullpen usage. Obviously, they're always going to be up there in usage because their starters never really go deep into the game, which nobody goes deep into the games nowadays. But they have to be careful with that because the earlier the more you use your bullpen early in the year, later on in the year, your bullpen will become tired, and you don't want to go later into the year having a taxed bullpen. They do have some injuries right now, so it's early in the year. You're going to use your bullpen because starters don't go as deep. They don't go deep at all in modern-day baseball, but especially early in the year, that most pitchers are going 5 innings, not even 6. So, but the bullpen has looked really good. Like I said, the most strikeouts in baseball. So overall, not a bad series. It will be interesting to see how the Dodgers play against the Phillies going forward, because in the last few years, they have not played great against the Phillies. The Phillies have kind of owned the Dodgers. And that could be a team that you could potentially see come October. I think they are a better team than the Phillies and would beat them in a series. But the Phillies have played really good against them. Guys like Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber have hit really well against the Dodgers. And they have really good pitching, so They have to get better against the Phillies going forward the next time they play them at Dodger Stadium. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to talk about 2 injuries. Freddie Freeman was put on the 15-day IL prior to the start of this series. Blake Snell was put on the 15-day IL prior to Game 3 of this series. So we knew going into the series right before the Game 1 that Freddie Freeman wasn't going to be a part of it. I said at the end of my last podcast, I thought Freddie Freeman would play in this series because he did get time off. That, of course, did not happen. They put him on the 15-day IL, so I believe he is eligible to come off about I'm trying to look at the numbers right here. He was put on the IL on April 4th, so April 11th, 12, 13. So I think April 15th is the day he could come off the IL. Don't fact check me on that. That might be a little bit off. So not much to say about Freddie Freeman. We know he had the ankle injury. They clearly wanted to give him some more time, not rush him. Going into Philly, they were undefeated. I think he'll come off the IL after the 15 days and he'll be fine. Really, the interesting thing is Blake Snell. He goes on the IL. That came out of nowhere. They are saying it is shoulder inflammation. There was even some talk after the game that Dave Roberts was like not in the loop about it. So we'll hear more about the situation and like what kind of happened with Blake Snell. I'm trying to find in real time if there was like any quotes from Blake Snell. Are they just being precautionary? We'll see as time goes on. I saw there was video of him throwing a bullpen today. So hopefully it is precautionary for Blake Snell and they're just trying to be careful with him. He kind of has a history of being dinged up early in seasons. We talked about that. He did that last year. So I think by next podcast we'll have a little bit information on Blake Snell and kind of like what's going on with his injury. So it's disappointing to see that he went down. So maybe does Bobby Miller get called up to get a chance? Justin Robleski. We'll see who gets called up for that. They've already made a roster. I've called somebody up for him, but they'll need to call up a starter, I think, because they were already planned, it looks like, to throw a bullpen game, one of the games in Washington. So that's pretty much it for the 6th podcast of Talking Blue. A little bit of a disappointing pod because the Dodgers lost 2 of the 3 games, but the Dodgers are 9-2, still have a really good record. They will go into Washington Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they will play the Cubs the following weekend. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for everyone to listening. Like I said before, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify. Follow us on YouTube. Get the notifications when the new videos drop. Subscribe, like the videos. We'll have new YouTube shorts coming at you, Instagram Reels, videos on TikTok. You can follow us at Talking Blue Pod on social media. You can follow my personal X account at Talking Blue Nick. Thank you for listening. We will see you guys at the conclusion of the Nationals-Dodgers series on Wednesday. Thank you for listening.